Start spreading the news.
We interrupt our program to bring you this important message.
New York, I love you. I love New York.
Rose trying to get open, fires away. Bang! It's over! The Bulls win at the buzzer! Iguodala to Curry, back to Iguodala, up for the layup. Oh, blocked by James. LeBron James with the rejection. Puts up the three. Won't go. Rebound box. Back out to Allen. His three-pointer. Bang!
What's going on, people? Welcome back to another episode of the Off the Ball podcast with me, your host, Chris LeBron. And on today's show, we're going to talk about the Knicks Summer League roster. They finally dropped who will be on the Knicks Summer League. So we're going to get into details with that. Maybe talk a little bit about the new Paolo Banchero extension and what that does for Orlando. But it's going to be mostly about the Knicks Summer League and dive a little bit into some of the players that the Knicks will be having on their Summer League roster. Been waiting for it for a little bit, and now it's here. It's dropped. But first, this show is brought to you by SeatGeek. SeatGeek, your number one place for all your ticket needs. Use promo code OTBBALL for $20 off your first purchase at SeatGeek.com, or download the app on Apple Play or your Google Store or any platform to get $20 off your first purchase at SeatGeek.com. Pay the bills, but Knicks Summer League roster has officially dropped, so we're going to get into it because obviously that's been something that people have been waiting for. We've been waiting for this Summer League team to drop. Just reading up on something quick. So we've been waiting for a little bit. So let's discuss the roster. And I'm trying to blow it up a little bit more. There we go. So there's the Knicks Summer League roster that we will have. And obviously some notable names. All our draft picks from last year, obviously led by first round pick Pacome Dadier, and I'll go into a little bit into kind of what they've been doing, what they did last year. So Pacome Dadier obviously was the first round pick, our first pick last year in the 2024 NBA draft. We selected him 25th. Only played in 18 games for the big club. Shot 32% from the field, only 31% from three. Played, but give you more of his G League stats because that's where we kind of saw him more at. In the G League, he averaged. Just lost my notes. I had it all written. Oh, there we go. He played in 14 games, averaged almost 15 points a game. Only shot 40% from the field, 31% from three. 84% from the line, did grab 5.5 rebounds per game, and played a good amount of minutes, for the Westchester Knicks. So obviously his development is going to be absolutely important. Like if he doesn't develop the way we want him to, then that's going to hurt. We need him. We need wing depth. He is obviously a project. So one thing that I'm kind of worried about, in a sense, because I still feel like he's super raw, is that we're going to try to fasten his development when he needs time. He needs time to develop. He's still only 20 years old, and he was a project pick, right? They selected him. Like, I had him in the late 30s, 40s, because I thought he was a developmental guy that needed time. And you take a guy in the first round, you're expecting him to be ready in a couple years, in 2 years, So 2-3, and I think he was in that 2 to 3 year where after heading into year 3, you could see some. So I hope I'm really going to be curious to see if he's ready. If he's taken on, gotten stronger to be able to get to his spots, improve the shooting, has the form and everything, has everything you want in a wing. 6'8", right? How many times I talk about religiously about the 6'8", 7-foot wingspan wings, and those are the types that teams love, and that's what the Knicks fell in love with. So he's going to be important, but hopefully he's ready because everyone talks about him being a vital piece in this 25, 26 season. So is he ready to take a big step in his development? Because I think he still has some time to go before he's really ready. And now that time is that clock is spinning a little bit faster than maybe I would like, but there's some good things to like about Pacome, but the efficiency has definitely got to be up there and be better. You don't even have to be a 3-level guy. Essentially, we need him to improve the outside shot. Because we lacked wing depth on the bench. We didn't have any wing depth on the bench last season, so that's going to be very, 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 very crucial. Obviously, let's talk about Tyler Kolek. Tyler Kolek, who we took in the second round, was the 34th pick. Trade up to get him. Top 25 guy for me. Had they reversed Pacome Dottie and Tyler Kolek, I would have loved what they did even more. Even not being a huge Pacome guy, but I would have been like at 34. That's fine. I'm cool with that. But Tyler Kolek, obviously last year, didn't play much, but in limited time, shot 32% from the field, 29% from 3, 76% from the free throw line, a couple points a game. Did in 41 games in just 7 minutes a game. Had some highlights. Had a 9-assist game. Was his career high, I believe. And showed some flashes when he did play. Obviously it wasn't anything spectacular, but did some good things in the G League too. I think his G League average, he averaged like 10 assists a game in the G League. Shot like 18%. Efficiency wasn't there. I think he shot like 38%. For one I was checking last time, it was 38%. Like low 30s from threes or high 20s from threes. So obviously with Tyler, we know the playmaking is there. He can pass. He's one of the, I think that's there. It's, can he get stronger? Can he improve his perimeter game? Because it felt like he had to really work hard to get his shot off. So if he works on that game and he bumps his shooting splits and he's getting to the mid 40s, as a shooter, and he's getting into the mid 30s as a 3-point shooter, that's going to get him on the court. So I'm really interested to see, because and also with him, we know we're going to see the passing because he has a bunch of Swiss Army knives type. He got a bunch of freak athletes, with James Najee and Mo Diawara and Ding Pate. He's going to have guys that are going to be able to finish. So, but the one thing he needs to work on is the defense. I don't think is ever going to be something, so but can he do enough offensively that'll make him stay on the court, with getting to his spots, getting stronger, where he's not bullied. So that's the one thing I'm looking forward to with Tyler Kolek. He's probably gonna be the number one guy I'm watching, because I was such a big Tyler Kolek guy. But his development is going to be very crucial because the backup point guard spot, I know they picked up Jordan Clarkson, who can handle the rock a little bit. They obviously got Deuce, that can handle the rock a little bit. But they need more. They need a more dynamic ball handler who could be able to play make. They didn't really have that. Kolek might be their best playmaker, and he's only a second-year guy, So we'll see how his progression goes. He should look good passing the ball. He should look good, setting up guys, to being a good lob guy, but will we see the shooting improve? That's going to be the key for him if he wants to be the backup point guard, because they have to be able to trust Tyler when Brunson is off the court. The plus minus the stats when Brunson is off the court was not good. That's a big reason why this team was not in the NBA Finals. So can they trust Tyler when Brunson is off the court for 10 minutes? Can they trust Tyler? He's pivotal. I think he is the most important. I know Pacome is very important, but I think Tyler is, because those minutes when Brunson's out are very vital. So I think we need him to really step up and show. I know he was a second round pick, but he was the third pick in the second round, fourth pick in the second round. 1, 3, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, fourth pick in the second round. So you're still expecting something, and highly touted. Like coming out of college, all time, Big East, back-to-back Big East assist champion, led the country in assists. We need him. So he's very, 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 very vital into this this Knicks team. So some other, we got Kevin McCullough, another guy they took in the second round. Kevin McCullough, second round, 56 pick in the draft. Kind of an older prospect he was. Didn't play much. Only played 4 games last year for the Knicks. Dealt with some injuries coming out of college, kind of why he dropped. Another guy where he's fighting for essentially a deal too. So can score. Score was a solid score at Westchester, where he spent most of his time. Averaged around 11.5 points per game. He shot, the shooting splits weren't great. Shot 39%, 22 from 3, but did give you a steal and a half a game. So what you want from McCullough is, if Ken, obviously he's another one. Well, and that the health is more if he makes the team. That's going to be the one thing. If he does make the team, can he stay healthy? But the shooting needs to be greatly improved, because he improved his last year at Kansas. He was a solid shooter, but that was an issue he had in college too, was the shooting being consistent. It wasn't consistent enough until his last year. But if he does make the team, that's going to be wise. The shooting improve, because we know the defense is pretty solid. He's a pretty good defender. He's a really good defender. Almost 2 steals a game at Westchester. So if he can do the little things, that can get him, a shot at the big club. So we'll see how he does. I liked him a lot coming out of college. I had him as a top 35, 40 player. So we'll see what happens. Obviously, Ari Hukporti probably has the most experience, out of all the draft picks, out of all the guys from the 24 class. He has the most experience. He was the last pick of the draft too. So not much. And he had been on the draft radar for a while, but got just finally was able to hear his name, get through this process. But only played 25 games with 8.5 minutes a game, but gave you, when he played well for a guy who was the last pick in the second round. You didn't expect to get that much production from a guy who was the last pick in the draft. So you got real good production, played good in minutes where when Mitchell Robinson wasn't there, played good. And then in the time he did play, the limited minutes he did play, he great hustle, showed offensive, upside. The defense still needs some work as far as with the footwork, the shot blocking, mechanics, all that stuff needs to get improved. But he's I think he's solid. I think his floor is pretty good, where I think he's going to be what he is. I think CP mentioned this earlier on Knicks Fan TV, that he thinks he's just going to be solid. Like, he doesn't see much upside, but he's going to be solid. And that's sometimes what you need. But if he can refine some of the shot blocking stuff and not fouling, I think that's a positive. So I think Laporte is in a good shape. He should have a good summer league. Another guy, and this is going to talk about some of the freak athletes that they've had. James Nagy. So James Nagy is someone they picked up from the Karl Anthony Towns. I think he originally was a Charlotte pick. I think he got flipped to Minnesota, and then we got him in the cat trade. He's a physical freak, 6'11", 250, 7'7" wingspan. I think I read it was, or is projected it was 7'5", 7 in that range. So crazy wingspan, physically gifted. Like he is built, he is a god, godlike, body. Pause. He has a lot of those just absolutely crazy physical traits that you want from a big, we're just a really, real special on that end. But man, like the shot blocking, the rim running, like there's a lot to like up. I think that's why there's a lot of intrigue with James Najee because of those physical traits. He's not going to give you much offensively as far as shooting, outside game. There's not much there with James Najee, but it's kind of like he's a bigger version of Muhammad Diawara. Diawara is 6'7", 6'8", where James Najee is 6'11", 250, and has a 7'5" wingspan. And Diawara has a 7'4" wingspan. So you're getting some guys who have really good, really great upside. And that's what I like. I like them taking chances and upside. Like, hey, let's, we're limited on what we can do financially. We're close to that second apron. Like, hey, let's see what we can get. Can we get some steals here? Let's see if we can find a diamond. Because the Knicks have shown that if they could find some good players in the second round, or or later, or undrafted, like they can get some talent like that. So, and that probably that's how you're going to be able to fill out the back end of your roster was with some of these guys. So Najee is definitely a intriguing. He played. I think he played the ACB league. So for Real Madrid, right? I forgot, but he didn't play a lot of minutes. Didn't play a lot of minutes, but with whenever we look at prospects, so you've essentially you're just trying to say, okay, well, how can we project that in the NBA game? Because we know the game overseas is a lot different, a lot more physical. They don't play young guys, so you go through that. So he's a good project, and he's another one where I think he'll thrive with Tyler Kolek and company. So interested to see how he fits with this team. So just pulled it up. Where'd my roster go? Okay. So Yude Baba, the Japan, they call him Tokyo Drift. Interesting prospect. He's older. He's like 29, I think. But played in the NBL. Won a Finals MVP. So he's had his couple stints playing good pro ball. Played in the G League. I think he had 3 different stints in the G League for the Texas Legends. So he has some experience playing. So that's just another depth, and like I said, a potential wing that has some experience. So we'll see how that goes. Seeing some of his highlights, he's pretty athletic too. So he's a intriguing guy. Another guy they added, Lance Ware. He probably people familiar with Lance Ware if you're a big college guy. He played over at Kentucky, then wound up transferring to Nova. Had the same issues he had in Kentucky, just couldn't get the minutes. Thought he can go to Nova, play, or I think playing less than he did at his stints in Kentucky, and then wound up going to UT Arlington where he played. He took 29, 30 minutes a game, I think. Averaged around 13, 14 a game, I think, 9 rebounds, so solid. Just a big depth. I don't think he's going to be someone that's going to make the team, but it's good to give a shot and see what he can do. A lot of experience, 24 years old, so definitely worth a shot to see. Luka Škuka, a Slovenian. I thought he was. I could have sworn I read Lithuania, but he's a Slovenian guy, 6'10". I think they kind of just picked it to see if the shooting can get better, because I think his shooting overseas, he was shooting like mid 30s, So maybe with more spacing in the league, maybe they think, because he has good form, good technique, just so maybe they're just saying, hey, man, let's give it a shot. Maybe this kid can, be a good shooter at the next level because he's already shooting mid 30s. I think we can get him up to higher and a 6'10", you never know. So I think it's worth a shot. A couple stints, I think, with Dallas's G League team. I could be wrong, but wow. And then I mentioned before, Muhammad Diawara was our second round pick. We traded one spot down to get him from 50 to 51. An intriguing physical specimen, 6'8", 7'4" wingspan, around 220, I think, in that range. Not going to give you much offensively. In the low 50s as a free throw shooter. He's not going to give you much right now. But defensively there's something there, with the long arms, plays passing lanes good, was a menace. Like he locked up some dudes. So he's going to be someone that another guy that you're very interested to see, how he looks. There's, like I said, there's going to be a lot of interesting wings in this, so those are the guys I'm going to talk. I know there's other guys on this team, Bawai Bales, he's someone that's interesting, playing overseas. He's got some, I think he's Australian too. Right. I think he played the NBL. So he's an intriguing prospect, see what he got there. Jamal Bay's interesting, kind of a scoring guard. He's got some intrigue, Jaden Campbell and Devon Grant. I know a little bit about them, not too much. I remember hearing about them a few years back, but I know these are all essentially guys who played overseas, so they have experience. They're young, but they still have a couple years of experience playing. So you bring in guys like that, and you add them to what you got now. So they have a lot of guys with upside. They got a lot of guys with upside. So very intriguing guys that they have that, they're bringing in for their summer league. But I'm just happy that they finally announced their summer league team, because it's I've been waiting. I'm a weirdo. I just wanted to hear the summer league team, so and we got what up, Steven, man? Told you I'd be back. Looking forward to Kolek, Lobs, to Huck, Najee, and Diawara. Steven, man, that's one of the more exciting things I'm looking forward to in the summer league. Their first game. I cannot wait. I think they play the Nets, their first summer league game. I could be wrong. But Steven, yeah, that's gonna be, and I think Kolek's gonna be in heaven. Like he's just gonna take it on the break, and then boom, you got Huck, you got Diawara, you got Najee, Dink. Like it's gonna be, he's gonna have his moments as a passer where it's gonna look very good. Just the one thing with Kolek is everything else. Can he get the in between game? Can he find can he get his little floater? Can he develop a floater? That in between game, a lot of people mention him with who's the guy point guard from the Pacers. I'm blanking on the name. But I'm talking about, I'm blanking on the name and forgetting the name, so can he McConnell, TJ McConnell, right? I just blanked out. Can he develop that little stop and go game? Nemhard. No, I was thinking of McConnell, but Nemhard, he doesn't have the physicality like Nemhard to be that. But Friday at 6. Okay, so they play Friday at 6. So I can't wait for that one. That should be good. I'll be looking forward to that game just to watch and just to see how they roll. Just to see. I also want to see if they implement, like, I don't know how much of Mike Brown's offense that they'll even put into the game plan. I don't think so, but I don't think they put much in there. I just think they let them rock. But Nick Yak, I want them holding on to money until the season starts. We know what position needs help. Well, I know they have enough money because the Yabusele took a couple $100,000 less for us to get another vet min guy. So that already makes him my favorite French Nick of all time. But they have some money to get another vet guy, and I think they'll wait to see how the summer league goes. Because if it's say they need another guard, maybe they'll go that route. So or if they need another wing, so it's all predicated. I think they're gonna wait till summer after they get a little snippet of what these guys look like in summer league, and they'll go about that last roster spot. I mean, it's a vetman spot, so I mean, those guys aren't going anywhere. You're gonna be able to get those guys. So, if McCullough is 100%, he's a great defender. Saying pray that he could shoot league average from 3. Yeah, yeah, that's the thing. If that's how he's gonna be able to get a NBA roster spot, is if the shooting, because I mentioned the splits before. Let me look back on my notes. So he shot in the G League, playing 27 minutes per game, scored 11 a game, 5 rebounds, 39% from the field, 22 from 3. And that's in the G League. Now, context, he was coming off an injury, so getting his feet wet, but that was the thing he had in college. Now, he shot better in colleges last year at Kansas. The numbers, I think he was mid-30s. I could be wrong. I'll check that out. Exactly. But he needs to, the shot is what's going to get him on the roster. If he's on the team, it's because he figured out his shot. So that's going to be key for him. Let me read his last year at KU. What was his splits? His last year at KU shot a little. All right, so he's at 33% at KU. But he improved. Like, he was a 28% shooter, 31% shooter, and went to 33%. So he's improved. I mean, you're not asking him to shoot 38%. You want him to get at least in that 33 to 35 range at the next level. Especially if he's a good defender, you don't need him to be that great of a shooter. So Nick Yak, we can get a full vet minimum, but wait and see. Yeah, because with the Yabusele taking less, we can get a full vet min. I know maybe Kevin Love potentially. McCullough has a great feel for the game and intense motor, coach's dream, 3-point. You know what's crazy? He's a Tibbs guy. He was a very Tibbs-like pick. So when they got him, I just wonder what Mike Brown sees in him, because if he doesn't have the shooting, that's my thing with him, is if the shooting's not there, like, I don't know if he makes the team. Because he feels like he was more of a Tibbs guy, but they're trying to stay away from Tibbs guys, quote unquote. We'll see. Nick, yeah, Kolek needs to shoot better. His defense wasn't bad the little he played, but yeah, the shooting needs to it gets better. Even at Westchester too, he didn't shoot the ball great. He averaged like 19 and 10. I think he had like a steal and a half a game, but let me pull up. Yeah, he shot 38% at Westchester and 28 on threes. And then in the big, I won't even count the NBA stuff, because he only played what? He played 41 games, only played 7 minutes a game. So he only averaged 2 and 2 and 32% field goal, 29. So I like to see more of the G League stuff, because obviously he got to play. But he did have a career high 9 assists in one game in the big leagues. So with the big boys. So there's something there. But he's another guy, we'll call him McCullough, that needs to, but unlike McCullough, like, Kolek's going to be on the team. Kolek is going to be a very big piece, because, like I mentioned before, they got to trust someone when Brunson's coming off the court. So seeing how he works, seeing how that shot goes in, it's more confident. We'll see. The Knicks have a major problem. Do you see VJ Edgecombe the other night? He's serious on both sides and abused the Knicks. Yeah, I mean, we didn't have the season that Philly had, so we were in position to get. I mean, there's a world where I would love VJ Edgecombe. Like I said, I have mentioned this before. Being in New York, heard a lot about him, wrote a lot about him before he was even a top 100 player. So, and I saw the vision a long time ago, but I don't know, Steven. they got something good potentially there in Philly if PG and MB don't work out. They got a nice little good future there. Nick Yak, oh, he's piggybacking off the Kolek stuff. He started so good, hit his first couple threes. I hope he gets a fair chance. Yep. I mean, I think he's going to get the ultimate opportunity to be the top backup guard, the lead backup. So this is an opportunity to show it. I'm not worried about the passing, the playmaking, the defense so much. It's can he get to his spots? Did he develop a floater? Did he develop stop and start, near the restricted area? I don't need him to shoot 38% from three, but we need to see better than 35%. It's got to be in that, because when you're not a dynamic point guard like that can get downhill, you got to be able to at least shoot it respectfully. And if he's not someone that can get to the rack comfortably and he can't shoot, it's going to be hard to have success at this level as a below the rim player, So those are things we need to see from Tyler, and I'm confident we will. Maxi and VJ are scary. Steven, I'm having nightmares because in a few years that potential backcourt could be scary. And then you add McCain to that. As I'm saying, they're in good shape. If they could figure out the Paul George and Embiid stuff, I think Paul George will be better next year. I think last year was just it was a disaster. But the Embiid not being healthy, that's always a thing. But yeah, Summer League is upon us. Marjon Baychamp too, another one I'm looking forward to seeing how he is. See if he and I spent some time with us last year. Didn't really get to do much, but his development has kind of been up and down. Been on a bunch of teams, but maybe an off season where he's with the team and he went through the playoff run with us, even though he didn't play. He was there. We'll see how he does. I think there's something there with Baychamp. I just think it's just about proper development. I think the shot could be there. I mean, if he could just be just a catch and shoot guy, that would be great. Like if that's just his game, it's catch and shoot. Get a 6'7" guy, catch and shoot guy. That'll be key. I've questioned his development, ever since the G League. So if the Knicks can get, like I said, I think the Knicks are just trying to take throw in their, just throwing stuff out there and seeing what hits. So that's why I like this summer league roster because there's a lot of guys who have upside. I like it. Baychamp is the same as McCullough. His future is dependent on hitting from three. Yeah, and I trust him a little. I trust him more to do that, Stephen, than McCullough. I trust him more to be at least a catch and shoot 3-point shooter. Because he has moments where he's done that. He's been able to do it, but the inconsistency, with Milwaukee, there's things there that need to be working, but he has talent. He has talent too. So I liked when they got him last year because I thought this can be someone that, if properly developed, can be a nice bench piece. And that's what I like what the Knicks are doing. Getting some nice potential depth piece. That's the difference. If they had this type of bench last year, like guys you can actually be like, okay, I'm comfortable with this guy on the court, they'd be in the finals. But Knicks in desperate need of athleticism. Yep. Steven, I think we talked about that on the show last time. Like that's why they drafted Ding Pei. They got Muhammad Diawara. They're bringing in James Najee, because they need more athleticism. So if those guys make the team, you really improved on a lot of things you were lacking. Depth on the bench, athleticism. Like those two things can be the reason why you get to the finals. So let's see how they incorporate that. You know, Nick, yeah, MB can shoot always, but he's so slow. Not even healthy can control any big man's game from him. Yeah, no, MB can shoot. Thing is, obviously, his body is breaking down. I mean, he's in his 30s already. You know, he's missed a lot of basketball in his life. I think he probably missed more games than he's played. I think it's some crazy style like that, right? He's out of games he could have played, he's missed more than he's actually played. It's but life as a big man, when you're that big, that large, and he missed the first 2.5 years of his NBA career. Also, we always knew the writing was on the wall with him. Like he wasn't gonna have a long career, and it's unfortunate, but that's why they need to hit on these guys. He missed over half. He thanks for that, Nick. He missed over half of his games in his career. Like that's insane. That's insane. Absolutely insane. But crazy. He's gonna go down as a what if player. He's gonna go down as one of the biggest what ifs. Because the fact that it's still crazy to think that he's the only MVP to never gotten to a conference finals. Crazy. But they have an opportunity this year to do something really good. Like people were down on them. They lost 58 games last year. Like people were down on them big time. So this is an opportunity to really do something. With the East being as open as it is, all these guys getting hurt, Milwaukee's in flux. Boston is, Tatum probably going to miss most, if not all, the season. They traded two big pieces of their championship team in KP and then Drew Holiday. A lot of these teams that are possibly up and coming in the East are still, we got to see how it even looks. Like everyone's talking highly about the Hawks, but how does that look? They had good players on paper, and they weren't even a playoff team. What about the Miami Heat? Yeah, they got Norman Powell and stuff, but Norman, like, how scared are you of a Norman Powell, Bam Adebayo, Tyler Hero trio? They're not really worried about that. It could be a playoff team, but Khalil Ware is solid. I don't know what happened to Jaime Jaquez. We'll see how some of their when Nikola Jovic, see if he develops, but there's teams in the Pacers are done with Halliburton's, he's out for the season. Boston lost 2 second-round picks for Holiday because his physical had a problem. Oh, did they? Oh, didn't know that. Broke my heart, Washington. Yeah, that was good. That was good, man. That was good. I just think why the Knicks probably weren't in on him, which I would have loved for them to pick him up to see if you're in the guy, but the salary we couldn't take back. And then he wants an extension. But I think that's for Fear Washington. That was a good pickup getting him for that. Just taking a chance on a kid who could potentially, like, his rookie season, I think he played like 19 minutes a game and averaged 13 on like solid splits, at like 45% from the field, 35 from three. That's good for a rookie. That's, who was their 25th pick. I think he was in the 20s. They drafted him. Now I know he was supposed to go way higher. I had fifth on my board. He was supposed to go way higher, but to get your 25th pick to average 12 a game, that's pretty good. His minutes went down next year because, a man blew up and Tari and all those guys, they're better defenders too. But that was good for them. We'll know real quick with Dadier Summer League if his game to develop. Yeah, we will. Pacome is him and Tyler are the most important pieces. And for me, I mean, I would think Tyler to me is the most important because I think the backup point guard position is more important than a wing off the bench. Not saying it's not important, but I think for us, we need to have someone we can trust, even if it's just for 5 to 10 minutes. Those are important 5 to 10 minutes. So that cost us a lot of games in the playoffs because we didn't have a reliant, a solid backup. So if I think that's very important. His development, but Pacome, that was their first round pick. Nick, I appreciate you, man. That means a lot. Appreciate it. Yeah, I've been doing a lot more of these. Been doing a lot more of these. Trying to be more consistent. Work is work, man. work can take you out, but I found a nice little good balance doing that. And the last few weeks have been good to me making content. And like I said, I have a look at my archive. I have a bunch of great shows with NBA players and coaches and GMs and scouts. So check that out in the archive. Business is for pleasure. Yeah, man. Yeah, definitely business for pleasure, man. Yeah, man. You gotta take care of the bills. Bills. Gotta pay the bills before you can do a podcast. Gotta make sure the lights on and stuff. I got a few more upgrades I need to do. Got to get some more lighting in this particular area. I got to upgrade my camera. It's only 720p. I need a 4K or something like that. So I've been working some doubles lately, so I can upgrade. Some of the. But I got some. I got an audio board. All that. I know Paulo Banchero got paid on some other news. Paulo Banchero got monster deal. Pacome is still 19. We got him because he. My one thing with Pacome, Steve and Nick, is I hope we don't rush his process, because I felt like he's a project player and now he's going to be expected to have a bigger role because we need him and we're in championship mode. So I just hope that doesn't hurt his progression, because I feel like he's someone that can pop in 4 to 5 years. And what if we feel like he doesn't feel what we need this year and we trade him away and he could be a player. That's the one thing I worry about him. The star of your podcast is your knowledge. Oh man, I appreciate that, man. I put a lot of work. I put a lot of work into this, man. I put a lot of work. I started the podcast in 2020, and I said if I'm going to be good at this, or if I'm going to have people to listen to me, I got to know what I'm talking about. So I put a lot of work into what I do. So I've been able to do some stuff for radio. I have my podcast on the radio. I do stuff for Knicks Fan TV with the draft. Like I listen too. I listen to other podcasters. I listen to how some of the NBA podcasters before they got too big and then they got too clickbaity. Listen to them, how they approach the game, how they understand the game, and that's how that's how I was able to better understand basketball. So you put in what you get. You put in the work. The work will show, and then you'll see results. I'm not a clickbaity type of guy, so I have to do that. All right, I don't want to be, I'm not a clickbait guy. I think us starting him off as a corner three guy would be smart. Yeah, I think so. If he could develop a three, that's what we really need him to do at this point. Like eventually, you develop the rest of your game as the years go on, but right now you just need him to be a kind of a 3-point marksman, especially if we're expecting Kolek to be, in the rotation as the backup point guard of Ira Hukporty. You got Douche, you got Mitch. We just need a solid backup. We just need a solid depth. that could just come in and just hit some threes. Just be that. We're not actually much, but I still don't want them to get out of the path of his development. Like, just don't derail it because you need him to be, because remember, he's still only 19, 20 years old. I don't want to rush it, but if you feel like he's ready for it, then you push him. But if he's not ready, don't, just let him rock, and then we'll get someone else. Like, continue his development, but get somebody else in there that you feel like can give you what you really need from a win now mode. Kolek break down the defense and kick it out the cone for three. Yeah. But that's also predicated on Kolek being able to get to his spots. One thing Kolek has had trouble with is getting to his spots with physicality. So if Kolek has worked on that, and that's why Friday is going to be interesting to see. Has Kolek worked on getting to his spots, getting his shoulder down, getting to his spots? Because then if he does that, then I know he's made the right strides, because I know the passing is going to be there. He's going to find guys. That I'm not worried about that game. Even at the NBA level, I think he could be a really good, playmaker. It's, can he get to his spots? Because if he's getting bullied at the 3-point line and can't get to his spots, then that's not good. And he won't play, and then they're gonna have to try to figure out who's gonna be that back. Because I don't think Deuce is that. I don't think Deuce is a primarily, back, a lead guard. I think he's more of a combo guard, and I think he could play with Kolek at, in the backup spot at times. So, we'll see. We'll see with that, but I'm looking forward to that. I want to see if Tyler has gotten, stronger, so he can get to his spots. But Pacome is going to be important. But as you said, if Kolek can mimic TJ's game smart, yeah. And he could be more dynamic than TJ McConnell. He could be way more dynamic than him too. So he has it in him. It's just got to figure out how to get to the spots. Figure out how to get to the spots, learn how to create separation, be more confident with your mid-range game. I don't know if he'll ever be as dynamic as TJ is around the rim creatively. But if he can develop a little bit of a floater and stuff, mid-range, and just be respectable from three, he could be a good player, because the passing, to me, is going to be is already there. I think he's a high-level passer even right now, with him playing just 7 minutes a game in the big club. It's just the efficiency, because like I mentioned before, at Westchester, 19 and 10, but shot 38% from the field and 28 from three. So he needs to work on that. The efficiency just gets a little bit of a bump, then he's gonna play. He's gonna play. But if it's not there and he's not getting to his spots, he hasn't shown that he's still ready for that physicality. Remember, that's why he dropped to the second round. I thought he's a first round talent. He dropped to the second round because of that, because he's not a crazy good athlete, not athletically gifted, slow-footed defensively, not strong enough to get to his spots consistently enough. Gotta show some of that. If you want to get trusted with the ball in your hand when captain's gone, when captain's off the bench, or if Cap misses games, gotta be able to trust you. So I think he's just as important to seeing his development, because at least we know, we know with Tyler, he has an opportunity, because his position is like being the quarterback. It's like being the backup quarterback. You're just as important as a starter, because if the starter goes down, we need you to ride. And the same thing with us. We need him. We need those minutes when Brunson's gone to still be comfortable with him not playing 45 minutes. As the fireworks go off in the back. Kolek, total lack of point of attack defense is his weakness. They just blow past him. Yeah, that's definitely still doing fireworks 3 days later. But yeah, point of attack defense needs to get better. But that can also be not as big of a thing if we have the potential length on defense. With Najee and Huck Porty and McCullers, like you can kind of hide that if you have those guys around potentially. Trying to read up on any other news that we got up in here for the New York Knicks. Like I said, I'm also interested to see what type of offense they're going to run. What are we going to see offensively? Is Jordan Brink going to run anything from the Mike Brown tree to get these guys ready? But let me see. Yeah, I'm looking forward to see if they have anything, if they're running anything offensively. Want to see if Huck had developed a Hardenstein floater. Yeah, yeah. That's the one guy he should study. If Huck if I could tell, hey Huck, watch this guy. I think you could be this type of player. It's Hardenstein. I'd just be like, yo, watch him. Watch how he operates in the post. Watch how he is offensively. Because unlike Mitch, I think Huck has a little bit more offensive awareness, other than just like lobs. Like I think he could create a little bit on the in the post. Like there's something there more than Mitch. Like at this point, Mitch is just a rim running, offensive rebounder type of big block shots, obviously. But I think Huck can be a little bit more dynamic offensively. But other than that, like those are the guys I'm looking for. I mean, Dink Paint is another one. I'm very intrigued. Like I said, I did a podcast with my guy Lee from Nick of Time podcast, and he had a lot of good insight on Ding Pate. He knows a lot of those people. Actually, I think he just interviewed one of Dink's coaches. So check that out. Get them free pub over there. But Dink's an interesting prospect too, man. He's an interesting one. If you figure him out, there could be something in there. Like there's a lot to work on. With his efficiency and stuff, he's another one that needs to develop. But there's a reason why these guys are second round undrafted guys. Because obviously there's big weaknesses. There's big weaknesses on these kids, but that's why development is crucial. That's why you need to develop properly. And if you can get one of these guys to develop into what potentially what they could be, then you're doing a good job. But I like this team. I like the roster they're putting out. Some guys that are going to be on the Westchester team that I'm looking forward to see how their development goes this season. And it's going to be, like I said, I'm interested to see how they run some of their offense. If there's anything from the Mike Brown offensive philosophy that we'll see right away, or is that something they'll just wait to when they get to real training camp? Time will tell. But Summer League is upon us. Friday, right? Steve? I think Steve said Friday. So we got 4 more days. Right? The 11th, right? The 11th their first game. I know there's going to be people from Knicks Fan TV. Think should go to Europe to learn discipline. You don't get in the G League. You don't get it in the G League because the teammates are focused on getting themselves and no passing. Yeah, I mean the G League Ignite. He went there, that didn't work out. Then he went to the Mexico City team, and he from what I heard, there was stuff going on over there. The Mexico City team. There was a lot of weird stuff going on. Living in a different country, and so. But he handled that well because if you look at his shooting, he shot the ball way better than he did his first year with G League. So, He's someone he's going to put in the work, and I think he's in a good spot with us. So I think he's going to learn. He's going to learn effectively, and if he does somehow make the team or gets a two-way, he's going to learn from some pretty good disciplined players. So I think he's in a good spot with us. I think hopefully we can develop him and he can be something because the talent's there. He's a dynamic. He's athletic. Talk about athleticism before, Steven. Dink's got athleticism. That's not so hopefully we get some of these athletic freaks on this team and we can get them developing. I wish we would get a couple more shooters. That's something Knicks and they're gonna definitely try to find on the trade market is getting themselves a shooter. There's they don't have that. Even on this summer league roster, there's not a lot of shooting. I know Skuka has potential to be a good shooter, but he didn't shoot the ball great. So, but that's why there's summer league, and we'll see if that if his shooting projection we'll see any of that. But got a few more minutes before I sign off. Make sure to follow me at Off the Ball Pod on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. Follow, subscribe, comment, like on the YouTube channel. YouTube's been doing good lately, so trying to get to 700 followers. I think I'm at 623. Last time I did a show, I was at 550. 550, and I did a bump. So, like I said, try to put out good, solid shows. Try to give you as much information as I know, talking to scouts and all these type of people and learning a little, learning more about these guys. Try to give you as much information as much as humanly possible, but always appreciate the love. But I got a few more minutes. Kind of make chicken before it goes bad. Keep forgetting I had it. I think this is the last day before it goes bad, so I got to make it. I didn't have eggs too. Stole eggs from my mom's house because I didn't have eggs. Because I had gotten eggs at the supermarket, and then the lady broke them. Like she just grabbed them as if they was just like a bag of chips, and she's like, "Oh, I broke it." And I didn't feel like going all the way to get the eggs because I forgot where I got the eggs because they weren't in the eggs. And then I was like, "Ah, it's too much work. I'll get them another day." So, that's what bothers me. We didn't address our weaknesses: shooting, and then Clarkson's a scorer and a shooter. Yeah. That's why I think someone is going to get flipped potentially. Like, I think that's going to be the case. Someone's going to get flipped, and I wonder if it's Josh Hart. Because I don't know how Josh Hart's going to fit in a Mike Brown offense. That's my thing. I think Josh Hart is one of the biggest beneficiaries of Tom Thibodeau. How does that translate to Mike Brown? I don't know. So I can see a world where they flip Josh Hart to get a shooter. Not saying that should happen, but they still need more shooting. They don't have enough shooting. Even, off the bench. Like they need it. They need to get a shooter. So that is essential that they get a shooter somehow. Obviously, you're not going to find a lot of good shooters in free agency. Like a couple of the guys they possibly wanted, just took more money. So you're gonna have to figure out that shooting. That's gonna be something. Yeah, Kennard. Yeah, Kennard got, I think, $8 million a year. We didn't have that. So, and I would have liked Kennard because Kennard can handle the ball a little bit too, play some point. He's not a great defensively, but you're not. That's why he's a mid-level guy. You're gonna pay him to shoot, handle the ball a little bit. He's a deadly shooter, but I think they got good value for what the guys. Yabusele, he could shoot a little bit. He's strong. He's going to be a physical player. I think the Garden's going to love him. Jordan Clarkson, not someone that I was on my radar. Clarkson, as the lights, Cisco pressed the wrong button. The lights. He's not the prototypical player I would like, but to get him for what, 3 and change they got for him, 3 mil, and if he doesn't work out, well, you just send him on his way, you know. But he gives you another ball handler, so that I don't have too much of a problem with that. But yeah, they're gonna need a shooter. They need a shooter. There's not much of them on the market, so I think the trade market is the only way that they can do something. Whether I'm not advocating for it, but Mitch is on an expiring. That may be interesting for teams. So I don't know. We'll see. But they definitely need to get a shooter. They don't have it. They got to find one. I think Luke would have been perfect, but I like Yabusele, so I'm not too mad about that. Not much other news. I mean, Paulo Banchero, like I mentioned before, Paulo got the bag. Paulo got paid a lot of money. If Deuce doesn't shoot around 40% from 3, he's gone. Yeah. Deuce is Deuce got to shoot the ball. Deuce just has to be more creative. Shooting splits last year, Deuce. Shot 40%, 36 from 3. What do you do in the playoffs? In the playoffs, he shot 37% from 3, but was terribly inefficient overall. Because he's not the problem with Deuce, like if Deuce was like 6'5", he'd be Lou Dort, he'd be getting $90 million from a team, but he's 6'2", 6'1". He's the size of a point guard, or like a backup point guard, but doesn't have point guard skills, essentially. His handle did get better, playmaking a little bit better, but it's still not what you want from a lead guard. But he's a 2 guard, but he's not your essential, prototypical type of 2 guard. He's a, so he's the ultimate tweener. That's why he dropped to the second round. Now his development, he's gotten better every year, so that's good to see. But that's the one thing I do like. He has gotten better every year, essentially. Except for like he downish year this year, if you want to compare to last year. But that's just his shooting. Like that's just him just as a his shooting splits. But like his ball handling was a lot better this year than it was last year. That's for sure. Deuce is a good as 8'6". Yeah, non playmakers. But you know what? For the value they got for him too, like you just got to be like, this is a good value player, So, and he can still get better too. Like he's still young. He's only 24 years old, so he could still get better. But I like him more in that 3rd guard role, more than being like your primary backup point guard, if that's the case. Because I just don't think he's dynamic enough as a point guard. I just think he's just a player. I just need him on the court, but it's tough when you're 6'1". Like I said, I wish he was 6'4", 6'5". If he was Lou, he'd be Lou Dort. If he was 6'4", 6'5", he'd be Lou Dort. But he's 6'1". Like I said, that's why he dropped. That's why he dropped in the draft. But because I had him as a top 20 guy in 21. But that is but Deuce's thing is, continue just to be a good 3-point shooter. Continue to get better. Because he made a jump from the first 2 years to year 3. And then year 4, a little bit of a dip. but still, had moments of hitting some big shots. His confidence too has gotten better too. He's a lot more confident. I miss Quentin Grimes too. I miss Quentin Grimes. I just felt like they gave up. Like he would. You know what's crazy? He's probably perfect now next to JB. Now you got Mike Brown coming in. He would have been perfect. He really would. I wish they didn't give up on him. Really wish they didn't give up on him. Like that probably got me more than trading IQ and RJ or Obi Toppin. Yeah, because he went to the Knicks, to the Pistons, and then he went to Dallas, right? And then Dallas traded him to Philly. So he's bounced around a little bit, but now he might get paid. I think the Sixers are going to pay him and be a part of that core. They have a nice little core there. I just wish we didn't give up on him. I just really wish we just would have stuck it out. But because eventually you don't want to keep giving up on your draft picks, Because if you think about it, our starting five right now, we got Brunson, he's not ours. Josh Hart, not ours. Karl Anthony Towns, not ours. JB, I'm not Mikal Bridges, not ours. OG, not ours. So we got five. Our starting five, none of those guys are guard guys. I don't know if there's another team. I could be wrong, but there's or maybe not a lot of other teams that don't have a starting lineup with at least one guy that's theirs. I have to look, but that's something. Yeah, it was a good point. I think the offense was just up and down, but people need to remember too, like in an offense where you have Julius Randle, Brunson, like it was hard for him to get in rhythm. When you're playing in it, and especially in an ISO heavy offense. Now you're going to be in a Mike Brown system where it's more reliant on ball movement and motion. There's going to be opportunities to be able to do your thing more, but that's why I think Mikal and OG are going to have big seasons. But we shall see. I'm going to sign off because, like I said, I got to make some dinner. Another installment of the Off the Ball podcast. Grimes was consistently shooting on 40%. Yeah, Steven. I didn't want to talk about it more. I'm so mad they gave up Grimes. Because I always knew there was more to his game than what we saw in New York. But you see that a lot. Look at RJ. Toppin showed a little bit more. The offense just didn't fit for those guys, and now we're seeing. But now that we're going to have a newer offense, a more modern offense, we'll see. But I will enjoy the chicken, Steven. Appreciate you for hopping on. Another good one in the books. Make sure to follow me on all social media platforms off the ball. Make sure if you're watching on YouTube, give me a sub, put the notifications on, and like, subscribe, do all that good stuff. We're trying to get to 700. Maybe before the month. We'll see. Spread the word. Spread the word. Friday the Knicks play Summer League. Maybe that morning, that next day, before I go into work, I will go live and talk about that game. Make sure I have it ready, recorded, and I'll watch it, and give my analysis on that. But so make sure to follow me on all those socials. Off the Ball Pod. Make sure to listen on Spotify, Apple, iTunes, wherever you want to listen to your podcast. Make sure to give me a 5-star rating and all that good stuff. But on that note, be well, be safe, take care. Let's go, Knicks. Peace out, guys.
spreading the news.
We interrupt our program to bring you this important message.
New York, I love you. I love New York.